Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness. Day 226 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. Today is one of those days where I wish I could just sleep. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We just keep going. As much as I would love to just sleep, I'm awake. So, it's mind over matter. We just got to keep going. 139 days left. Woo! I didn't even go to bed late last night. I went to bed like at 10:30. But it's all gravy. Hey, one of those days where you're laying in bed and you're like this. 1 minute goes by. You must go forward. All right. Long day ahead of us. Damn, we have to be at Bothell really early this morning. So we got to get going. All right, let's jump into this meditation routine. Good morning, Auntie. Good morning, Liz. Hi, ladies. All right, my friends, welcome back. We just finished our meditation routine, and now we're getting into our reading routine. So I will see you on the other side. Today's going to be a quick session because we have a lot to get to today after the journey, and so I will see you guys on the other side. Good morning, Matt. How's it going? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, sis. Love you. Hey, I messaged you yesterday, but you never messaged me back. Jeez. Hmm. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So we are now jumping into our journaling routine. We just finished our reading routine. And in our journaling routine, if you're joining us for the first time, if you're joining us for the first time, I usually like to start off by writing about what I'm most grateful for. And in the morning, it's for waking up and being in perfect health. So this is also a good time to write about your goals, your dreams, anything you wish to manifest. Another thing I do is I go back to yesterday's events, and then I write about how grateful I am for things that happened, experiences I had, and I was able to share with people. So I just, sit in gratitude, for what has happened, and then anything moving forward, I focus on that next. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the other side. Oh man, welcome back. Holy smokes, that was deep. So deep. All right, you guys. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm only going to tell you once. Do not limit your thinking. Do not limit your dreaming. You can have anything that you wish to have in this life. And it all starts with one thing: stopping to smell the roses and believing and knowing inside and connecting with the emotional feeling that you are greatness. Now, this chapter went deep really fast, and I'm only gonna touch on a couple points here. Like I said, it's a long day ahead of us today, but these are important things that I don't think should go unmentioned. Carrying the past is the start of this section of this chapter. The inability, or rather unwillingness, of the human mind to let go of the past is beautifully illustrated in the story of two Zen monks, Tanzan and Aikido, who were walking along the countryside that had become extremely muddy after heavy rains. Near a village, they came upon a young woman who was trying to cross the road, but the mud was so deep it would have ruined her silk kimono she was wearing. Tanzan at once picked her up and carried her to the other side. The monks walked in silence. 5 hours later, as they were approaching the lodge temple, Aikido couldn't restrain himself any longer. "Why did you carry that girl across the road?" he asked. "We monks are not supposed to do things like that." "I put the girl down hours ago," said Tanzan. "Are you still carrying her?" Now imagine what life would be like for someone who lived like Aikido all the time, unable or unwilling to let go of unwilling or unable to let go internally of situations, accumulating more and more stuff inside, and you get a sense of what life is like for the majority of people on our planet. So these fundamental practices of waking up super early, and even if it's not you getting up super early, that's the discipline part. There's a lot of other things that come along with just adding on to the life clock, right? So in real estate, like for people who just want to get in and make a quick buck, yeah, it's great. But again, to build a sustainable business, it takes patience. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a race with anybody except yourself. There's people who've been in the industry 20, 30 years and who are absolutely crushing it, at 23 million, and we're not even in June yet. But we can't compare ourselves to them because we don't have that experience quite yet. We haven't been in the game for 10, 15 years. But my point here is that the discipline part comes from waking up early, saying that you're going to do something, and then executing on it and convincing your subconscious, letting it know, like, hey, I'm serious about my stuff. If I say I'm going to do something, whether it's, waking up really early in the morning or being a better person to the people around me, I'm going to do it. Or just simply executing and washing my car once a week, cleaning my car once a week, maintaining the things that I have once a week, getting a massage, finding spiritual peace, whatever it is. But the thing is the way that you get things out of your head is using the journal. So we have a lot of stuff in our intelligent minds, and we're so creative, we're so imaginative. Everyone has a great imagination, but it's a matter of how are you going to use that power? How are you going to use that energy, the ability to think, the ability to imagine? If you use it for negative, your life's going to be... Pause. If you use it for negative, you may not experience the best reality. You may not. But the interesting thing about the ego is it's always looking for negative stuff to attach itself to. There's that inner negative gene inside of us, I feel like, as Eckhart explains, not a gene, but a negative wanting that our being, strives to look for. So that's why there's a lot of drama. That's why there's a lot of negativity. That's why the news is fueled with fear, and that's because there's a natural wanting for that. And so the more enlightened you become, and the more you start to get to know yourself, then you recognize that there is that wanting. So then when you hear, you respond differently. So instead of being fearful or engaging in negative conversation, you pull yourself back to say, okay, well, how is this serving me? How is this energy affecting me or anybody who potentially isn't here, or, this, so on and so forth. So it's a greater awareness. So carrying the past can become very, very heavy because, you're experiencing things on a day. Like, for example, I went to Home Depot yesterday and I'm like walking around the store and I made eye contact with this interesting character, this gentleman, and he looked at me and I looked at him, but we were in passing, right? Boom. So I'm shopping. I'm a real estate agent. That's my profession. Okay. Pause. So then I get to the electrical aisle, right? Or I go somewhere else and I go buy some outlets. I buy this, I buy that. And then I end up in the electrical aisle and I see this guy again, right? And like I'm looking at a surge, a AC charge detector, which it tells you if there's if the outlet is live or not. And I'm looking at one of those and I hear him mumble something, right? And then I stop and I look over to my left like this, and I have this like electrical thing in my hand. I'm looking at him like this, right? And I look back and he goes, "Yeah, you heard me." He's like, "I know you're following me." And I was like, "What? I'm following you?" Like, how when you go to the store and people suspect you of stealing, or they discriminate towards somebody for it looks like they might steal something. And I looked, I was like, "What you talking about, man?" Right? I looked at him. I was like, "I don't work here," right? And then I was like, "Okay, you gotta pull yourself back, because if that's how he feels, he's feeling some kind of way. Don't even engage in that." And then he said it like a couple more times. Right? And I'm just thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, this guy is tripping." But I felt offended, Well, actually, I didn't really feel offended. I was just kind of like, "What are you talking?" Like in my mind, I was just like, "What?" Like, you really must feel guilty about something, because you've said this like 4, 5, 6 times since I've been standing here, and I'm looking at this, this surge protector. So then that kind of like was like, I've never experienced anything like that before. And so in my mind, it ran a little bit, right? And then as I turned the corner to go toward the cash register, I bought the wrong locks. I bought these mechanic locks, these contractor boxes that have codes on them. But the one I bought was the one you mount onto like the side of the house, which I don't think is good. So I needed to buy the one with the actual loop that goes around the doorknob. And then I bought the wrong knob. I was supposed to buy the knob with the actual deadbolt lock, right? So you have both locks. But I only bought the one with one. So I had to exchange both of those items, right? And then buy the correct ones. And then I got some other things like that little pen that I was talking about. So now I turned the corner, and then I see these 2 Home Depot employees, and the exit just happens to be like right there. And then I'm walking, and then I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" Walk by them. And then I turn the corner again. I passed the return and exchange, which is the exit, right? I passed the return and the exchange. And so character assassination or defamation is actually a legal crime. Like, you can go to jail for that. So if somebody was to like accuse you of stealing, just FYI, if somebody was to accuse you of stealing something, and they made like a really big scene about it, you could sue them essentially for public humiliation. So mind you, if you're working in a public space, you never ever want to accuse anybody of stealing something until they are out the door, or they're like getting ready to go out the door, right? So I know this. And I'm turning and I was like, "Oh shoot, there's the returns and exchanges." So I was like, "I'm not going to do this at the regular counter. I have these items in my cart, and I have to return or exchange these other items and pay the difference." So then I backed up my cart, and then I turned back and I went through the metal detectors, and those 2 ladies, they like turned around And then like they started picking up their walk and they started walking toward me. And then it looks like I was going, and obviously like the return desk is right here. So I was coming, and then I turned my car, and then I went. They were like, "Wait, are you gonna?" And then I turned around and I just looked at him like, in my mind, I'm like, "Are you serious? You know, like, are you serious? Like, you're really doing this to me right now, right?" But I looked at him and then I just smiled. I was like, right? But I was just like, dude, what the hell? That was so weird. Like within 2 minutes, just weird, just interesting energy. But my point here is that when I left, I was like, wow, that was weird. But then I had to shake it off, like the duck in the pond that we're just fighting, right? You got to just shake off that energy and just keep going. You can't let it, ruin your day. You can't let it disrupt your flow, And then as I was talking to the person who was ringing me up, a bit irritated about this gentleman who is accusing me of following him around the store, right? Like, what? And then getting ready to leave, and then these two women practically almost chasing me out and making a huge mistake by making a big deal in the middle of the store. It was just interesting. And then I had to check myself at the counter. Like, okay, this is a total new energy. It's a total new person. You have to pull yourself back. All those other situations don't matter anymore. Cut them off, and then just, make this experience between you and this person right in front of you a good one. So again, just let things go. And I mean, something that was 3 series of events that just happened like that. And the last one had to do with my energy, right? Not anybody else's. So it's just interesting, but paying attention and being aware at all times when you're living this enlightened life is really important. So you will start to see these episodes, or you will start to see these things happen right in front of your eyes, but it's all about how you respond to them. So we're talking about now, imagine what life would be like if you lived, a life of stress all the time. In fact, it is through memory that we learn from the past and from past mistakes. It is only when memories, that is to say, thoughts about the past, take you over completely, that they turn into a burden, turn problematic, and become a part of your sense of self. Your personality, which is conditioned by the past, then becomes your prison. Your memories are invested with a sense of self, and your story becomes who you perceive yourself to be. This little me is an illusion that obscures your true identity as timeless and formless presence. Your story, however, consists not only of mental but an emotional memory, old emotion that is being revived continuously. So they limit themselves through grievances, regret, hostility, and guilt. Their emotional thinking has become their self, and so they hang on to the old emotion because it strengthens their identity. So the whole point of re-identifying yourself every single day is to detach yourself from anything that may have been in the past. And there are certain experiences, there's certain things that happen that remind you of a judgment that somebody passed on you, or an emotion that you felt at a certain time, or something that you may have experienced. But the biggest thing in transcending above your physical self and into the spiritual realm of being is by detaching yourself from those physical experiences or emotional experiences that you had in the past time. Because of the human tendency to perpetuate old emotion, almost everyone carries in his or her energy field an accumulation of old emotional pain, which I call the pain body. So if you experience pain and you have this continuous feeling of pain, we can identify it as the pain body. So when your pain body starts going off right within you, then you have something that you can call it, and then you can figure a remedy for it. Now, how do you get through that? We can, however, stop adding to the pain that we already have. We can learn to break the habit of accumulating and perpetuating old emotion by flapping our wings, metaphorically speaking, and refrain from mentally dwelling on the past, regardless of whether something has happened yesterday or 30 years ago. And that's totally up to you and totally up to me to take our power back. We can do it, though. And if you need help, that's why you plug into communities. Nothing ever happened in the past that can prevent you from being present right now. And if the present cannot prevent you from being present right now, what power does it have? So in other words, if your present isn't stopping you from waking up in the morning and sitting right now in front of your phone or in front of your computer and being in this journey with me, if it can't stop you from doing that right now, then why the hell are you still hanging on to that energy? Why do I still hang on to that energy? We have to release it into the universe and push on forward through it with our new identity that's established at this very second. If in another second we decide to change our reality or who we are, we could do that again. But the thing is, it goes a lot more deeper. It is literally that easy. If tomorrow I said I wanted to be a pro basketball player, I think I could legitimately go do it, right? But because the thing is when you make that decision in your mind, you have to internally believe it. And the way that you start to internally believe it, you personally, and start carrying that confidence is by telling yourself it every single day. I am greatness. I am greatness. I am greatness. I am the greatest of all time. I am the GOAT. I am the greatest of all time. I am the GOAT. Every single day. And then when you believe it so instinctively, you exude that energy, then other people around you start to also feel that energy. And because you're being authentic and true to yourself, other people pick up on that subconsciously because internally they have that same exact greatness. So when they see it, they can align with that truth. They can align with that greatness. So the biggest thing to remember is that nothing in your past can prevent you from being present now. And if the past cannot prevent you from being present now, what power does it have? So let's get ready to wrap up here. There's a couple more pages here, but children in particular find strong negative emotions too overwhelming to cope with and tend to try to not feel them. In the absence of a fully conscious adult who guides them with love and compassionate understanding into facing the emotion directly, choosing not to feel, it is indeed the only option for the child at that time. Unfortunately, that early defense mechanism usually remains in place when the child becomes an adult. So for those out there who didn't have a supporting mother or father, that doesn't have to be your story. That doesn't have to be your story, because even with people who have loving fathers and mothers in their lives, for those who never were able to experience life, without having everything handed to you, don't let that be your story. If you don't want it to be your story, don't make it be your story. And then for those out there who are who want to get to know who they are deeper as people, you can jump back to your childhood experience and just understand and see, okay, well, I was raised in a very disciplined household. So how does that affect me? I was raised without a mother. How does that affect me? I was raised without a father. How does that affect me? And then once you figure that out, you come to this, further understanding of who you are as a person. And then you start to make those declarations, right? So let's say in a father household, the father, just a father only household, the father probably exudes a ton of tough love, not so much the emotional, embracive, touching, feeling, supportive type of love that a woman may give, right? And so if you were raised in a household with just a father, then maybe as a man, you may yearn to be more of an emotional person so that you can be both emotional and quote unquote tough or disciplined when you have your children and when you're going through your life experiences and you're working with people, right? So you're not always so hard. You're not always, machismo is what they call it in the Latin culture, and you have that point of understanding, right? It's okay for men to cry. If you're on the woman's side, and you were raised with a mother, what does that do? You have probably an intense amount of emotion. So then you're super emotional. So when something bad happens to you, you feel really vulnerable. So you're really hurt inside, right? And then, the dynamic could obviously be switched. A woman could be a little bit more stern because she has to fight, single mother, right? Fight or flight type of thing. She has to stay and fight for her babies. Same thing, with the man. He could be a little bit more emotional, whatever it may be. My point here is that it's anchored, pause. when you're coming into an enlightenment, if you want to take that slight journey back, but not stay there, but just shine a light on what was the past, it may help you understand some of the qualities of who you are. You put that to rest. Once you put that to rest, you define yourself, and then you continue moving forward through life. And so that's the cool thing about it. And that's what I say when you could switch who you want to be at any point in time. Your story, however, consists not only of mental, but also emotional memory. So not only the way you think of yourself, but the way you feel about yourself. They limit themselves through grievances, regret, hostility. Their emotional thinking has become their self. And so they hang on to the old emotion because it strengthens their identity. And so we said that already. Children in particular. The remnants of pain left behind by every strong negative emotion that is not fully faced, accepted, and then let go of, join together to form energy field that lives in the very cells of your body. It consists not of just childhood pain, but also pain and emotions that were added to it in adolescence during your adult life. Much of it created by voice of the ego. It is the emotional pain that is your unavoidable companion when a false sense of self is the basis of your life. The false sense of self we hold on to. The thing is you have to come to terms, I feel like, or you have to run toward that thing that's eating you up inside. If there is that thing that's eating you up inside, whether it's an experience, a feeling, or something that you have, when you run toward it and you shine a light on it and you address it and then let it go, it doesn't, for me anyway, it doesn't seem to arrive again, and then you just continuously on your track to being that newborn person. And every second you are reborn. The collective pain is probably encoded with every human's DNA, although we haven't discovered it yet. The energy field of old, but still very much alive. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling here because there's like 2 more pages here, but I really have to get off. But I really want to keep going because this is so awesome. This energy field of old, but still very much alive emotion that lives in almost every human being is the pain body. The pain body, however, is not just individual in nature. It also partakes of the pain suffered by countless humans throughout the history of humanity, which is a history of continuous tribal warfare, of enslavement, pillage, rape, torture, and other forms of violence. This pain still lives in the collective psyche of humanity and is being added to on a daily basis, as you can verify when you watch the news tonight or look at the drama in people's relationships, right? Constantly bombarded with it. It is true that this is wild. This part is wild. It is true, but it makes sense. It is true that some babies cry a great deal because they are not given enough love and attention, but others cry for no apparent reason, almost as if they are trying to make everyone around them unhappy as they are, and they often succeed. They have came into this world with a heavy share of human pain. Other babies may cry frequently because they can sense emanation of their mother and father's negative emotion, and it causes them pain and also causes their pain body to grow already by absorbing energy from the parents' pain bodies. Whatever the case may be, as the baby's physical body grows, so does the pain body. So now you would think a baby with a tremendous amount of pain body would be, pretty much dead on sight. They're probably going to grow up to be a criminal, this, that, and the other, right? Just like you would think somebody, probably not you guys, or probably not everyone, would think, a person who comes from a split household probably won't ever figure it out and never get married, right? How could they ever do it? They didn't have the right environment growing up, right? Kind of thing. Well, pause. It's actually quite the opposite, and it makes sense because a baby with less pain bodies or who experiences less traumatic experiences, right? They go through life. And that is what it is. But the baby who has an extreme amount of pain body, right, and just feels really just brings that energy of misery kind of to a situation. As they get older, they strive to be enlightened so they can let that crap go, because that's not good energy. It's not serving them. So they come into consciousness, from unconscious to conscious, because they are experiencing more of that. And so to ask questions and release that energy, what do you have to do? You have to be conscious, and then you have to run toward it rather than running away from it or pretending it's not there. You run toward it, and then you combat it, and then you let it go. Same thing with the person who comes from a split household or a divorced household. Has it ever occurred or dropped in the thought of anybody out there that the person who comes from the household with separated parents, that they've seen other people who have been married for a long time, and that at the end of the day, it's no judgment to begin with, because not everybody wishes to be married. But for those who do wish to be married, that just the thought of being married and knowing what they went through as children, what they would never want their children to experience. And so therefore they define themselves as a good husband, as a good father, as somebody who's inseparable, right? So that they may go off to be a better husband than somebody who, well, when I say better, not from the premise of comparing, but they may go off to be a fantastic husband, right? Even though they came from a household of separation. So it just, you see what I'm saying? So you build up a resistance. It's almost like, don't challenge me, or pause. Don't tell me I can't do it, because the urge inside of me is so strong that I'm going to go out and do it, kind of thing. Like, don't doubt my ability to do it. But then again, other people's opinions doesn't really matter. So with that being said, my friends, hopefully I know that was a mouthful, and I try to get it out as fast as I can, but now I got a skirt. And thank you to everybody who jumped online today and on the messenger board. Good morning. Good morning. Everybody's at home watching. Good morning. Good morning. So let me see here. Let me go ahead and feel free to stay after me. Okay. You guys ready? This is my life. I am aware. I take full responsibility for my reality and thoughts. I recognize I have the power to manifest the best possible life. A life of wealth, love, and peace. I truly believe I have zero limitations. I trust my instincts, God, and universe. I am ready to transcend. I have arrived. And so it is. Love you guys. See you tomorrow at 5. Peace.